I know how to navigate through this data, and and I have some data sources to give you, because when I looked at a statistic, I couldn't find Pasadena. So you have to go into Pasadena to get the Pasadena statistics, and then you kind of have to figure it out, because everything has to fit into this nice little model. You know, you can go to Peristats and it gives you everything that you need, and then I have to work a little harder. So that reminds me of that 95% of my time with 5% of the funding. Okay, I think what's really, did you have no, you didn't have a question, I'm sorry, you were just looking here. Okay, so when we look at race-based data, what I tried to pull together for you is that it really is an intersection of where African American women live. It is biological. It is psychosocial. It's everything about us and who we are. And what really is important, looking at a gerontologist who I work with, is that when we start to put together that this is all preventable. Because across the lifespan, we are sick inside of our bodies young, and we see that disease manifest itself as young women who are just 40 years old. But when you look at the data that comes from tracking your mother and your grandmother, and you look at poor nutrition, so you start looking at the generational cycles of what's happening in my body. You know, a seed, an apple seed has all the apples in it that's in that one seed. Just like we have all the eggs that we're going to ever carry. I think that is just phenomenal to me, that we're ever going to have. So that means we have to be healthy women. So the message isn't about disparities. The message is about equity. What are the solutions that we're bringing to the table? What is it that we're going to do to be healthy and well and whole women and whole families? So that leads us to the next piece here. Did we have any questions on this data at the time? Any questions, any comments that you want to make? Just don't cry. I had a group of nurses on Saturday, and two of them boo-hooed the whole session. I was like, this is not going to work for me. But it's important to understand the data in order for us to look at the solutions of the work we're doing. What's significant about this photograph is that the young woman that's in the middle, who's on our brochure, is a mother who is just like me, and I'm going to just tell a little bit about my story. We were both mothers at UC Santa Barbara. She graduated with 2 children under the age of 5. And because of her, we brought our entire network to campus. Because if she's going to be supported through her pregnancy, then we need to support her in a style that she felt validated, that she was able to get a degree. Because once I discovered that she was pregnant the second time, I said, uh-oh, now you're going to face, so what's your problem now? You already have 1 baby. So what are you going to do? You're going to drop out of school? That's what people say to us as African Americans. Hispanic community, you're carrying the next generation. But what we get is a whole bunch of negativity. So you're just announcing that you're pregnant, and sometimes we don't even tell people because of all of the negative information that's put on us. No one asks us, or I should say very few people ask us, so what do you want to do? So when I embraced Farron, I recognized, I know this story, I'm not going to tell your story, I got this. And what I recognized that there was a 30-year gap between navigating through the university. And the way she was treated was the way I was treated. I said, but you know, you've got technology going for you. You've got students who can take notes for you. You can get a laptop. You can get all the things that you need. And she threatened preterm labor the entire second pregnancy. And her baby is healthy and whole, and she's 2 years old now. But the fact is that when I started to think about what is it that we were able to do in our communities, it made me put together the stories of who we are. So with that, we're going to start with just this is just really a matrix to just tell you that we have innovated two important things, and they're really not innovations. We have empowered individuals and we have sustained communities. That's really all that we've done. And the most important part on the partnership side, I think in every year except for Huntington Hospital was part of making sure that the Pasadena Birthing Project came into being. And that relationship that we had with the hospital sustains till today. But it was important for us to look at the community as a whole and not just look at pregnant women, because pregnant women are going to be served here, but they go home. Pregnant women are going to go to church. Women are going to go to school. Women are in the marketplace. So how do we develop these relationships in this community? And as a result of that, we started to find pregnant women, but more importantly, we were able to find the women who is the signature of a model that bears our name, sister friends. So they're women like you and I who want to see a woman have a healthy baby. We want to provide practical support. And we want to be able to provide that practical support where she is. So if that connection is, if it's nurse to nurse, it doesn't, you know, it's so funny how we think, well, you're trained, but this is the first time you're having a baby, so you don't know. You know, so what do I tell somebody about how I feel? And I don't really feel that well. And I have to, you know, I got to call in sick. And because, you know, all you need is the boss who's not going to really support you. Okay, because they have someone else that they're supporting, that they're reporting to. It's all those things that cause stress. So when we look at the community that we serve, we started to recognize that more and more that we had to develop relationships that would get our sister friends trained and engaged, because it was more than just being a sister friend. We needed you to lead and to be a champion. We needed you to learn the data. We needed you to interface with the clinicians. We needed you to go to the hospital. Some people are petrified of going to the hospital because when Uncle Joe went to the hospital, he didn't come out. When Grandma went to the hospital, she didn't come out. I don't want to go to the hospital. But we know that there are women in our community who need us. And so these are the very simple areas that we were able to infuse to make our work come together. So here in the San Gabriel Valley, excuse me, we had 3 different areas that we pulled together to support our work. The Birthing Project model is really all about sister friends. It's the national way that we provide practical support. So we train community women to mentor pregnant women through the baby's first birthday. The whole idea is that we want to see that first birthday celebration. That's what it's all about. And we have experienced infant deaths. We experienced 5, actually 7, in our 16-year experience here in the Pasadena, San Gabriel area, but 1 infant death is 1 too many. And and those are stories that we cry together. Those are stories that we want to be able to provide the support that women need. But to be at the bedside with mom is really difficult. And to really translate that information to the dad is very difficult. But nonetheless, what we do is come as sister to sister, peer to peer. Let me help you. Let me support you. Let me fix you a meal. Let me, you know, I'll place phone calls for you, whatever it is that I need to do. So that Birthing Project model for us enhanced to the next level, where we realized we had to put together a leadership academy because we needed to talk in context how to support African American women. And we recognized that we were quite often telling our own stories, and we had compassion for the women. So really the sister friends who came and worked with us were women who really had the opportunity to give back. I wish there was a program like this when my children were little. So how can I'll do anything to really make that happen. The second area, which I think is great, is that looking from a non-clinical background, because I don't think that Robin, I'm sorry, gave my background. You know, my degrees are in economics and black studies. So I'm thinking God has a great sense of humor, because this was the area that your profession is I didn't do too well in. But Everybody stands their ground. And so when I think about what's the next best way to bond with your child is to read. You scoop your child up next to you and you read the paper, you read a book, you make funny noises, you roll on the ground. And so there is a national initiative, it's called for early literacy, called Mother Read. And Mother Read comes out of North Carolina. Mother Read is a group that focused initially on women, mothers who were incarcerated and how they were able to bond with their children once a week. So now it's a national initiative, and what we were able to do is to take those initiatives, and I was trained in three of the curriculums, and one is really to create reading role models by parents. So when we find out that if parents don't read, can't read, don't have the time to read, then the whole issue of play, which is how children socialize, is an issue. So it may not, how can we change the dynamic in the family with the new baby? Because you can see the dynamic with the older children. You know, where now we see with technology and children have headphones and all kinds of things, so they're not really talking and interacting the way we did. We ran around all day until, you know, I'm dating myself, till the street light came on. And I used to run around the block another time, get that last lap in before I came home. But we played all day long. We played, we skated, we jumped rope and kicked the ball, and we did all kinds of things. But our children don't do that any longer. So they're confined in a small radius. And basically that is sit down, and you know what? We hear too many of our families who are saying, shut up, sit down, don't do that. And it's because mom is stressed out. So a way for her to come into play is really exciting. So that's what Mother Read did. We got to play with our families. And we also found out with this program is that we were able to use it. This was the first model that we outsourced. And we took actually to Pasadena Unified School District. I'm going to need a tissue, please. With the child at 14 and 15 years old. And then when we found out in Pasadena Unified School District, this data just really blows my mind. But because Altadena is county property, Altadena has the highest number of foster care homes per capita in the United States. So when you go into Pasadena Unified School District, you're looking at foster kids in your classroom. That was a whole nother, like I said, how hard can this be? I was finding out. You know, we really had to be equipped. But to be able to teach parents, whether they're 15 years old, whether they're emancipated foster care, whether they're foster parents. There was a foster parent who was afraid and ashamed to read out loud because she didn't read out loud. Because she really read at a third grade level. But it locates people when you realize if you're reading at a third grade level, okay, let me back up with my language, and now let's play a little bit more, because now I can help you, because I understand now how you can't help your children because your education is lacking. It's really simple. But the opportunity for parents to lighten up and to de-stress is probably the most important piece that we brought to the table. And then out of this, we developed 8 different models, which you saw in the first, the slide prior to here, to help support the family. That's how we sustain the work here.